It was a place filled with laughter, crashing pins, and the hum of arcade games. Gable House in Torrance, California wasn't just a bowling alley. It was a community landmark. Birthdays, baby showers, late night karaoke, and the glow of neon lights. It was where good times were guaranteed. For decades, families and friends gathered under its roof, sharing moments they cherished forever. But on one cold Friday night in January 2019, everything changed. By morning, Gable House wasn't a place of joy anymore. It was a crime scene. Before we dive into this crazy story, I have to take you through the rich gang history involved in this incident. The shooter, Reginald Wallace, is a 5-deuce Bloodstone villain, and all 3 of his victims were rival Crips. The Bloodstone Villains, BSV, are an African-American street gang that emerged in the late 1960s in the low bottoms of South Central Los Angeles. They were founded by Michael Bowie, known as Ivy Jack, initially as a group of teenagers defending their neighborhood from the Crips' expanding influence. Over time, they became one of the first blood gangs in LA, gaining a reputation for being militant and deadly.
We beefing with everybody right now, homie. You know what I'm saying? We got 4 dummies, 4 traps, Avons, bubblegums, Peptos, sometimes more weak-ass Mexicans, the Big Macs. It don't matter. We war with anybody. We Bloodstones. We rolling the east side, homie.
Friday, January 4th, 2019. The alley was packed. It was Rock and Glow Night, the kind of event that drew crowds from all over. Music thumped, lights danced across the lanes, and the smell of fried food hung in the air. Among the crowd were Michael Radford, Robert Means, and Ashton Edwards, 3 friends enjoying the night. No one knew what was about to unfold. It started small, an argument near the snack bar, just voices raised at first, but then the shouting grew louder, angrier. Security watched, waiting to see if it would die down. It didn't. Within moments, the situation exploded. Tables crashed, drinks flew, chairs were overturned. A full-on brawl broke out. 20 people tangled in a chaotic mess of fists and screams. And then, gunfire. Pop, pop, pop! 11 shots. The music cut off. Panic erupted. People screamed, scrambling for cover. The night spiraled from a party into a nightmare.
And get this, last night was family bowling night. Now, one man, a witness, told us that everything happened right there at the front door, either right there or just inside. He and his family escaped through a back door.
All of a sudden, all we heard was pop, 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 pop.
And then screams. This is Facebook Live video from inside Gable House Bowl. Torrance police and fire tried to save lives. People panic-stricken. A tragic end to the usually fun Friday night tradition here of Family League bowling.
At least 4 people got shot inside the bowling alley.
Just before midnight, Torrance police got the call of shots fired here. They got here and found 3 men dead.
I saw the bodies laying out.
4 other men were wounded. 2 taken to the hospital. 2 chose not to go. It was a fun Friday night for families in the bowling league until shortly before midnight. Dana Scott says that's when trouble broke out within a group of bowlers, about 20 men and women.
All of a sudden, we heard some young ladies cursing, and there was a big fight, and it was girls first.
She said then the guys started fighting. Security guards ran over, then gunshots.
Pop, 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 pop.
Chaos inside and outside the bowling alley.
A lot of people started running around and ran outside.
She and some friends ran toward the bar, where an employee got them to safety.
We were able to go behind a closed, sealed door.
The gunman apparently ran off. Police ordered everyone out, where families and friends held on to one another and dealt with the shock of what they had just witnessed. And a woman just recently dropped off these 3 candles here in honor of the 3 men that were killed. The wind here blew out the candles just a moment ago. I checked with Torrance police. They told me they have not made any arrests.
We're continuing to follow breaking news out of Torrance, California, just 20 miles south of LA, where police say 3 people are dead and 4 others injured in a shooting overnight at a bowling alley.
Witnesses say what started as a late night fight turned deadly. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has the story.
This is an active shooter situation. We have multiple subjects down inside and outside Gable House.
Overnight, police racing to the scene after calls of shots fired at the Gable House Bowl in Torrance, about 20 miles south of Los Angeles. Authorities saying just before midnight, a verbal fight broke out between a group of women. It turned physical, with others getting involved. Moments later, gunshots.
So as they were fighting and then the guys got into the fight and people were up and down, then probably not even a good minute later, we heard gunshots. Pop, 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 pop.
The scuffle sending terrified customers running for cover.
I seen people running and I heard gunshots and I tried to get down and my daughter is right there, my niece is right there. I told everybody to get down.
Police and EMS rushing in to help the victims. Authorities saying 3 people were pronounced dead at the scene while others were injured and rushed to the hospital.
3 men lay dead. Robert Means, shot in the chest and arm. A father, gone. Ashton Edwards, his best friend and godfather to his son, shot near the lanes. Gone. Michael Radford, a young father, shot in the torso. Gone. 4 others were wounded. 2 were hospitalized. 2 more sought help on their own. Police swarmed the scene. Witnesses, dazed and trembling, described a man holding a styrofoam cup, gun in his other hand. He fired without hesitation. The surveillance camera saw everything. As investigators pieced it together, the truth began to surface. This wasn't just a random act of violence. Michael, Robert, and Ashton weren't just friends. They were connected. Members of rival gangs. Michael, a Hat Gang Watts Crip, known as Lil J-Bone. Robert and Ashton, 4-pack Gangster Crips, Tank and Stroll. Their gang's bitter feud with the Bloodstone villain stretched back decades. And that night, the past caught up with them.
A fight at a California bowling alley left 3 people dead. CBS News correspondent Carter Evans has the latest on the search for the shooter.
Chaos at a California bowling alley as police officers struggle to help multiple gunshot victims before paramedics arrive.
Our officers immediately tried life-saving measures. Unfortunately, 3 individuals died, and our thoughts and our prayers go out to those individuals' families.
The shooting happened right before midnight on Friday in Torrance, just south of Los Angeles.
People were laughing and having a good time. Next thing we know, there was a fight, and it was the girls. It was the young ladies first. They were yelling and cussing and fighting, and people on the floor, and then some young men got into the fight.
That's when investigators say someone opened fire near the entrance of the bowling alley.
We have multiple injured. 10 shots were fired.
People started running to the back of the bowling alley and on the floor and between the lanes.
Of the 7 people shot, 4 survived. Early this morning, with police still searching for suspects, relatives of the victims arrived at the scene with pleas for help.
Please just turn yourself in. I don't have my baby, and my grandson don't have his father, so I gotta go home and tell this baby, he's 5, that his daddy's not coming home no more.
Carter Evans, CBS News, Torrance, California.
The shooter was identified quickly. Reginald Wallace, known on the streets as El Sir, a Bloodstone villains member with a long, violent history. He was no stranger to prison. A 1989 murder conviction as a juvenile, 17 years behind bars, released in 2017. He was on parole when he walked into Gable House that night. 2 days later, the manhunt ended. Reginald was found in Koreatown, arrested without a struggle. But the story wasn't over.
That's right. This suspect is a man who spent 17 years in prison and was released just a couple of years ago. He was put in after a conviction for assault with a deadly weapon, according to the Torrance police chief. That was assault with a gun. This man is on parole. He's 47-year-old Reginald Wallace from Los Angeles, arrested now on suspicion of murdering 3 people in the Gable House Bowl where mayhem broke out Friday night. This is Instagram video from the shooting scene. 3 men were murdered, several others shot and injured. The chief of police says Wallace used a handgun, pulled it out, and began firing after a group of people got into a fight inside of the bowling alley.
This is, a tragic event, major proportions, and we've never had an incident like this in the city of Torrance. It's tragic. 3 people lost their lives. 4 other people were shot. This is life-changing for so many people.
A 28-year-old father, his friend Aston Edwards, and 20-year-old Michael Radford, also the father of a young child. The suspect, Reginald Wallace, is now in LA County Jail being held on no bail. That's the latest live at the Torrance Police Department. I'm Michelle Geely. Back to you.
In court, prosecutors painted a clear picture. Reginald wasn't caught up in the chaos. He watched. He waited. He positioned himself near what he thought was a camera blind spot. And when the fight broke out, he moved. He pulled the gun from his pocket and fired. Cold, calculated. The defense told a different story. They claimed Reginald acted in self-defense, that Ashton reached for a gun first, but Ashton's gun never left his pocket, zipped inside. The families of the victims watched day after day as the trial unfolded. Michael's mother faced Reginald directly. "You destroyed 3 families," Robert's mother said. "I hope you never see the light of day." Ashton's sister called him a coward. It took the jury less than 2 hours to decide. On June 24, 2022, guilty on all counts. On September 30th, 2022, life in prison without parole. Gable House stood for 60 years. It weathered time, change, and generations of families walking through its doors. But after that night, it could never be the same. By 2023, it was gone, demolished. The land sold for $21 million, set to become a sleek, modern complex of luxury apartments and businesses by 2025. A new landmark built on the ashes of old memories. Some say it's progress. Others say it's the final eraser of a tragedy too painful to leave standing. But for those who remember that night, the families, the friends, the survivors, Gable House will never truly be gone. It's a ghost of what was, and a reminder of what can never be undone. Because some nights, no matter how brightly the neon lights shine, the darkness wins.
South Bay community is still reeling tonight from a tragic shooting at a Torrance bowling alley. The memories of the 3 men killed were honored tonight at a vigil as loved ones reacted to the arrest of the suspected gunman. Tonight, KCAL9's Jeff Nguyen is live in Torrance outside the Gable House Bowl with more. Jeff?
Well, Susie and Jeff, tonight this memorial behind us grew during a vigil for the victims. Their families tell us that they gained some comfort in learning that an arrest was made about 30 hours after the triple murder. Tonight, Angeline Hubbard held her grandson Princeton as tightly as she could.
Why do you tell a 5-year-old that his daddy is not coming back?
Princeton's dad, 28-year-old Robert Meekins, was one of 3 men killed Friday night when gunfire erupted at Gable House Bowl in Torrance. This afternoon, police announced they arrested 47-year-old Reginald Wallace in Los Angeles for the murders. They say Wallace was on parole after serving 17 years for assault with a deadly weapon.
I'm proud of the police. I'm so grateful. Yes, I'm happy. I thank them so from the bottom of my heart.
Cell phone video captured a massive brawl that police say started between 2 people, then grew to more than a dozen. Police say between security video and witness testimonies, they believe Wallace pulled a handgun out of his pocket, then fired at the crowd.
I do not know who no Reginald Wallace is.
The mother of 28-year-old Aston Edwards, who was the second victim, says her son died in his cousin's arms.
I'm glad my son wasn't here by himself.
The third victim was 20-year-old Michael Bradford. The families say the three victims were friends whose memories were honored during a vigil tonight in which Little Princeton helped to raise money for their services.
He's my favorite daddy, and I love him.
Stop this violence, because we're not going to get anywhere with this. You know, learn to love each other, hug somebody, tell somebody that you love them.
And 4 other men were injured. Tonight, police tell us that Reginald Wallace was the only shooter. He is currently being held at county jail with no bail.
All right, y'all, there y'all have it, man. That's the story of El Sir, the bowling alley massacre, man. Hey, get in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think, drillers and trappers. We out here trapping and drilling 247. Don't go nowhere. Watch that next video. Gang!